Hey everybody, if you remember not that long ago I said I wanted to do another collection video. Well, what I decided to do is I wanted to do all of my Saturn games at once. I know I've shown you guys bits and pieces from stuff I've collected, but I had a lot of Saturn games before that, so I want to go ahead and show everybody what I have right now. So I'll start with the Japanese games. I have X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which is an awesome fighting game. Then Biohazard, which everybody knows is Resident Evil in the US. You didn't know that? Well, now you know something. And Christmas Nights for the Saturn, which wasn't released in the US. We only got a demo here, which sucks. Soul Hackers, which is an RPG from Atlas. Well, like the Shin Megami Tensei series. I think it's actually part of it. I'm not sure. I'll look that up later. Then Police Knots for the Saturn, which is made by Hideo Kojima. And my favorite part of probably my whole collection period is my Japanese Saturn. I just love this thing. I love this almost perfect box. I just love having this Japanese Saturn. Alright, now on to the American funky action! I'll go ahead and put a clip on after this so you guys can see where I got that from. First up is High Velocity for the Saturn, which is a downhill racing game from Atlas. I love Atlas. Atlas is probably my favorite company because they release stuff in limited quantities. They don't make that much. I just love collecting their stuff. Next is Sega Rally. Sega Rally, I'm pretty sure most people know, is a rally game. It's just an arcade arcade racing game. Next is Baku Baku, which is a puzzle game that's a little different because you get to use things like you feed the animals food, and maybe I'll do a video on it later. You guys can see what I mean. It's kind of hard to describe. Next is Sonic R, which everybody knows is the best racing game on the Saturn. No, I'm just kidding. It's not very good. You know, hey, I beat it in 30 minutes. I beat it. Virtua Fighter 2. I'm not a big Virtua Fighter fan. I just figured if I have a Saturn collection, this is something that had to be on it. Then, of course, Street Fighter Alpha, which everybody knows is the Alpha series is my favorite Street Fighter. Well, favorite Street Fighter series. And Street Fighter Alpha 2, which is my favorite Street Fighter game. After all, I just did a video on it before this one. And I think that's the best version. Next up is Fighters Mega Mix, which has Virtua Fighter 2 characters as well as Fighting Vipers characters. Believe it or not, even though I've had this in my collection, it's one of the games that I haven't popped in yet. Next is Sonic Jam, which is Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. Plus you get to run around some 3D world. Most likely in the future I plan on doing a video on this because it's got some really cool stuff on it that I want to go ahead and show off. Next up is Mega Man X4. These guys remember, I got this for 15 bucks, which I thought was a great deal. So this is one of the really cool pieces of my collection. And of course I showed off Rayman already. And Resident Evil. Night Warriors, which is a Darkstalker's Revenge, which is, you know, of course the Darkstalker series, which is really cool. And then Virtua Cop, which is just as fun as the arcade version, especially, well, if you have a gun, of course. Playing with the D-pad sucks. Same thing with Virtua Cop 2, it's just as much fun as the arcade as long as you have a gun. Surprisingly, it's held up really well too. And next up, this is one I haven't shown you. Dark Savior, which is a lot like it's from the same people that made the game Landstalker for the Genesis. It's a really similar game as far as the playstyle is. And Die Hard Arcade, which was the first Dynamite Cop game released in the US. Shining the Holy Ark, which I showed off a while ago, which is an RPG. It's pretty cool because it does everything from the first person perspective. Maybe I'll do a video on it in the future. It's really cool. I'd like to show it off. I actually kind of like to play it. I've only played a tiny bit of it. A Stall, which is a pretty cool 2D side scroller. Here's an interesting thing about a Stall. It's the only game for the Saturn that doesn't have the name on the spine. Darius Gaiden, which is a pretty cool side-scrolling shoot 'em up. And then The Legend of Oasis, which is a sequel to Beyond Oasis, which in Japan was The Legend of Thor. And then, of course, one of everybody's favorite game on the Saturn is Knights. Maybe it's just because I got to the party kind of late, but I mean, it's okay. It's not like it's a bad game or anything. I guess it's just because I missed it when it came out and I don't have as much fun with it. Then, of course, also with all those things, you need this to play Knights. You don't necessarily need it, but I have a brand new Saturn analog controller. I have another one that's not in a box. That's the one I use for that. Next up is some of my more rare games. First is Magic Knight Ray Earth. This game is really rare, and I guess it is most likely because it's a working designs game. I mean, it's okay, it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't watch the anime or something. It just felt really girly. It just didn't, I don't know. Maybe I'll try it again in the future. It just didn't, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to describe it. I didn't have that much fun with it. Then there's Guardian Heroes. This is a pretty cool game. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, but you level up as you play along. It's just that, as far as when I played it, I couldn't save anything, so... I mean, you can save, it's just you don't get any lives back or anything, so... If you die, and you gotta start all over from the beginning. And next up is Shining Force 3. I only played a tiny bit of this, mainly probably because I never even beat the first two. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that they're really hard. Well, not really, really hard, it's just, maybe I just haven't had really the time to like, actually sit down and play it a lot. And then there's Dragon Force! This game is really, really cool. You get to like move all over the world map and you have these battles which, I don't know, I didn't really understand what's going on, but still it's a lot of fun. Well, I mean the battles, like kind of, you set everybody up and they just do all their own, it seems like they do their own thing, even though you can kind of give them commands and stuff. I don't know how to describe it. And then the last thing, which is the rarest game I have, which is probably the rarest game on the Saturn, Panzer Dragoon Saga! If you haven't played Panzer Dragoon Saga, it kind of sucks because this game came out in really limited quantities and it's actually still really fun today. Most likely I'll probably do a video on it in the future, but like I said, I wish it was a game they could re-release, but unfortunately they can't because Sega lost the original ROM for the game, or the ISO. So as far as this one goes, unless you have the original Saturn version, most likely you're not going to get one in the future. Well, that's all my Saturn collection. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have some more collection videos in the future. So peace!
ソニックが超音速で弾け飛ぶピンボールゲームに挑戦だ。アメリカ生まれのファンキーアクションソニックスピンボールメガドライブからソニックビンゴプレゼント実施中。